Today's video, I will be replacing this 3 switches here. Some of them are going to be 3-way, not I don't recall now here. Actually, one for sure is not. There might be 2 that are 3-way. Let's see if we find any surprises. Because like always, you never know what you find. And when I mean surprises, I mean wires that are not put correctly and other issues that could be happening behind the scenes. I do it this way and not just sticking a screwdriver on the side, because sometimes you'll lift up paint. So I just start tapping it around and fooling around with it a little bit, and usually it'll come loose. So yeah, there you go. 2 3-ways and 1 regular. How I know is because the 3-ways are wider, and you're gonna see an extra bolt in the back also. With that said, this should be done by a licensed electrician. Just showing you the way I do it, and I've already turned off the power to the breaker, but after that I still come and check with my contactless voltmeter, and I check twice. I actually check now, and once I pull all these wires out, just in case there's another wire that happens to be traveling through back there that's energized, because it's hard to tell, especially when you have multiple toggle switches in one box. There's so many wires back there that you might not notice that there could be other traveling wires that are hot and are spliced back there with wire nuts. So that could come loose, and if the other guys comes loose, you touch it, you know, the perfect storm, you get shocked. So what I do is that I pull everything out before I start messing around with disconnecting anything, and then I get my voltmeter, no, not the voltmeter, the contactless volt tester, and go back there. See, and as you can tell, why it's hard sometimes to identify where there's some other cable going through there. In this case, there's actually 1, 2, 3, 4 Romex coming in, and 2 pigtailed with wire nuts. And for all we know, that one of those pigtails could have been hot coming in to go somewhere else. But in this case, they're not. Everything is dead. If it was hot, I would then figure out what breaker goes through, shut that off too if I felt that it was unsafe. If I felt that I had enough to work out here with and not unsafe, I would work with it hot. But then again, so would a licensed electrician. So we're gonna go ahead and start replacing these. This one is obviously simple, you know, in and out power, hot coming in, and then when the switch goes on, the toggle sends it to the fixture. And then this one obviously has to have followers, and one that is going to go to either the fixture or coming hot, and the same thing here. Because on the other side, it's vice versa. You know, you have the 2 followers, and again, one either the hot coming in, or that's the one that's sending it out to the fixture. Because the way that the 3-ways work is that there's going to be 2 followers on each 3-way. Like they say, this one and the one on the other side of the room. Those followers communicate. But then the 3rd wire on one device is going to be going to your fixture, and on the other device it comes from your breaker, you know, your hot line coming in. And then the followers just keep on switching that back and forth. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and start removing one of these here. And for someone that's doing it, first of all, again, it should be done by a licensed electrician, but for someone that's still going to go and do it themselves, at a minimum, so you don't get confused, take out one at a time and put it to the corresponding one. Let me get one here, 1 3-way, and explain what I mean by one at a time. So in this case, You see, besides the ground, which is generally not used on toggle switches because the actual fixture is grounded, you're gonna have two followers, which are in this particular case, they are these gold ones, and then here where it's either again the one receptacle that, or switch that has the hot coming in, or the one going out to the actual fixture. Let me see here with the flashlight to show you what it says. So it'll be common, and this one in particular is the black, and these two are going to be the travelers. Now here, if you notice, I'll use 12 and 14. Are nice to mix them up. Let me see, I'm trying to read what these say on the back. Because on this one, the two travelers, as you can see, are on the same side, and the common is alone on the other side. Well, when I say alone, it means not with another one. You know, obviously there's ground here, but so now on this one, based off of colors, if you would try to swap it the same way and put, you know, these two where these two are at, it wouldn't be the same thing. Actually, they're different. Let me show you why. These two here are travelers, right? And this side here alone is the common, which they changed the color to black, where these two are gold, right? So the two gold are travelers, and here's where your common will go, which again is either hot coming from the breaker or the one going to the fixture, depending on what side of the room you're in. So on this one, you would think these two are also travelers, but they're not. The configuration of this switch, these two are travelers, and this one is the one that actually is the common, which in this case is on the side. How do I know that? So unless someone put this wrong, because they took out the bolts and put them on wrong, which is unlikely because generally speaking you don't take out these bolts all the way to unscrew it and to remove the wire, and I'll show that in a minute. But if you notice, this one is gold, this one is gold also, but they got black here. So now I'm going to go ahead and read anyways to make sure that someone didn't take out the bolts all the way and happened to have made a mistake that put it in the wrong spot. But as of looking at the color scheme, it's looking to me like the way these are made are different than the new one that I just got. Let me try to read here in the back. And sure enough, I was correct. It says it clearly here. Common is this one over here. So again, I know I'm repeating myself, but I want to reiterate because this could cause problems. I mean, how's it not going to catch fire? I mean, it's unlikely because a breaker would trip if something is wrong, that it's doing a short. And basically by just wiring this wrong, it shouldn't even do a short. What it'll do is that they're not going to work properly. What would happen is that you might be able to turn on and off the switch here, but on the other side, it won't work like that. As a matter of fact, the other side might have to be on for this one to work. And then you can shut it off over there, but then here it won't turn on unless the other one is on. This is what happens when you wire it wrong. That's one of the things that could happen. But even if you were to do something where a cable touches something else, then it should trip a breaker. But the fact is, it's not going to work properly. So you have to make sure this gets wired right, and just simply copying the format, you know, it's not going to make it right. So coming these two to these two, and the one on the other side to this side, the switch is not going to work right. One side is not going to do the on and off, and the other one won't work unless the other side is on. Believe me, that's exactly what's going to happen. You could YouTube the problem with other people showing videos of them having that issue, and that's what it is. So basically, always read the back and see. Again, you could go off the colors, but somebody could have put the screw in the wrong place, which is, again, unlikely because you don't generally take these off completely. See how they come partially out, and that's because they get really hard to remove after that point. They're only meant to come out this much and then wrap around. So in this case, the bolts are in the right places is what I assume. It's just that the configuration is different. And the way to know 100%, again, you don't want to go by bolts or nothing else in case it got changed. You read the back. Common, in this case, is this one, which is alone, and in this case, is this one, which is paired next to another one. So that one is going to come over here. The followers, incredibly, it doesn't matter. It could go like that. This doesn't care which way. So the followers doesn't matter, but the common has to be on the common. Cannot mess it with another one, or you're gonna have issues. So now, first thing we're gonna do is remove the common and put it so we don't get confused here. See how it gets harder once you get it almost all the way out? Can you keep on bringing it all the way out? Yes, you can. But you don't have to, because you can see, you could just at that point unscrew. Or unhook. We're gonna come here. And put it right here. Now generally it's not that easy to just unhook. You gotta also pry open the end of that wire because the wire is curved and squished together, which is what I'm gonna do now. Okay, so after putting it around, you come and you squish together, which this one doesn't have a lot of extra wire, so it's hard to catch something. You want a little bit longer to catch it. You squeeze it, and now you come and you put the bolt in. So it's actually grabbing onto the bolt too. All right, and I always, me personally, like to tighten them up by hand at the end, so I don't go at it with the drill too much. Here we go, take the on. Unhook. That's because it's easy because the previous person here did not crimp it together. Let me see on the other one. Looks like none here crimped together. Yeah. So we're gonna come here again. The travelers doesn't matter. So normally when you have this longer, that they could have cut it back longer, this will stick out a little bit more and you could grab it and squish it against itself. Now I could straighten it out, cut some more out, but I'm not. I'm just gonna do it like that and struggle a little bit to squeeze it the way that it should be. Let me get the pliers. It's working a little bit here uncomfortable. It's just that I'm trying to show it on the video. Let me twist this a little bit. It was a little bit twisted back. Twist it a little bit more. So now, I'm gonna go ahead and squish right here, like I said, with that little bit that I can grab, which is very little. There it goes. Let's see if I can grab anything here. You just almost can't grab anything here. How short that is. Almost nothing to grab there. There it goes. Got it. Let's get the longer. This one. And always another thing is you put this wire, that loop, clockwise. Not counterclockwise, it kind of spins it to where it tries to open that. What I just did there. That crimping. Alright, let's get this one out of the way. And again, we're going to start here by doing the common first so we don't get messed up. And of course, even if this gets messed up, there's ways to figure out the problem, because you can check continuity here between the common wires by checking with the voltmeter or seeing which one's hot coming in. I mean, but it's easier if you just don't mess this up from the get-go, you know. I'll get another switch right here. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to ask. I will answer your bag or reply to my messages. If you like the video, also subscribe, give it a like. Let's put the comment first. Again, tonight get messed up. Remember, the travelers don't matter. The ones that are on the two gold ones, it doesn't matter which one's which. We're gonna go with the two gold ones now, the travelers. See what I mean? That you can't put it backwards. If I were to put this one like this, I'd be putting it counterclockwise. It needs to be like that one, facing that way, to the right. So here I'm gonna twist it to where it's gonna go the right way. Now let me see if I could grab that little bit of nothing they left me with. Yep, got it. Same thing here. Can I grab that little tip? Yeah, damn, all of them, they left it, but enough. Just scraping by. And of course, I know a lot of people just tighten these with a drill. I just like to go later and do them all by hand. I'm just putting these, by the way, these grounds in just so they're out of the way. Just good housekeeping, not letting them hang. Now this doesn't matter. This one, which one's to the top and to the bottom. It's gonna work. Because all I was doing is closing inside the contact. Open up a new pack here. These came in for some reason in a little plastic packaging. So again, the ground is going to be put in just for a good housekeeping. You don't want things sticking out in case something gets loosened. It'll be less likely that it could get touched. I'll come here clockwise again. Get that one in there. Close it up. And by the way that these came open, previous person didn't close them, but once they're closed, what you're gonna have to do is, when you're gonna get to one that is closed, is that you back out the screw, and then you get a screwdriver, and you put it right there where, you know, that it's going like that, and you're gonna twist, and when you twist, it's gonna go like this. See, the screwdriver goes in like that. You turn it, it opens it, and then it slides out of the bolt. So you just stick it in here and do a little turn. After you have it loosened up. Which I was able to skip the part here because these were never closed. Another thing to watch out for, I've learned, is that when you're doing all of this, make sure all these wire nuts later are tight. Because sometimes I didn't tighten them good, and now this little movement, even though it's not a problem, the minute you start touching and messing around with things come loose. So just because that was not a problem before, doesn't mean that it's not going to give you a problem now. Turn that a little bit, make it easier to get in there. Squeezed easily. And tighten it up. Now again, like I said, I'm going to tighten everything up to the right torque specification according to my wrist. I say that as a joke because you're going to torque something officially, you need a torque wrench. That tells you what pressure you're giving, but I'm going based on my judgment here. What I feel is tight without excessively breaking it. And why it's important that they're tight is because if it's not tight, what'll happen is eventually you can have some arcing happening in one of these switches because the expansion and things moving in and out from heat and cold throughout a cycle of years could create something that's not too tight to become a little bit loose, and then you start having arcing, which of course can create a fire. Right? Another thing to watch for in there, sometimes you have a ground. I have another video on it where the grounds are just bare wire and they're exposed because it doesn't matter if it touches anything else. Supposedly, I believe you should wire nut them at the end, but look, in this case it was not. But it is tucked away at the bottom. Let me see if I can show you here. You see it down there on at the back. And what happens is that when you're pushing these wires back, you can scrape against the bare wire at the edge, especially at the tip that is very sharp, and it could, which I'll put a wire in just to show you. I mean, it's tucked away nice, but still, you see that right there? All the grounds are mixed together, twisted. But what'll happen is, and I have a video on it actually that it happened on one outlet that I did, and I didn't even notice when I pushed back this wire here, one of the hot ones got scratched by it, and it was tripping the breaker because obviously it did a short to ground. So the right thing is, so that edge doesn't cut. See, it's fine that the wire is bare because you don't have to worry about taping that up or anything because bare wire is not gonna penetrate. Just because it's bare doesn't penetrate the plastic enclosure on your hot wires, but the tip will, because it got cut with snips, so it becomes like a knife right there. So that's what's important. But in a lot of places it's not required apparently, and electricians do not cap it off. I believe it should be capped off, but of course if you're very careful and you tuck it in right, can you get away with it? Yes, you can get away with a lot of things in life. It doesn't make it right or proper or kind of bulletproof, Let me twist a little bit more here at the edges because it's so sharp that even this was going to have a hard time. The wire nut. Grab it. I might have to go with a bigger one than the other one. I might have to get a red one for that. Yeah, because it's a bunch of, I think there's like 4 wires here together. The one round coming in and 4 more that go somewhere else. And 3 more that go somewhere else, I meant to say. So you could ask this question to 100 people, and 50 people will give you one answer, and 50 will tell you, no, yeah, we do it, no, others say we don't. Cap off the ground. But it is safer because things move when you're going in and out, and what you thought you put in one spot moved over. So unless you're paying attention, unless you're pushing it in, yeah, the answer is yes, it will at some point. It can and will cause problems. Again, go look at my other videos and you'll see I have one. It's probably like 2 weeks ago when that exact issue happened. It says something on the title of breaker tripping in the somewhere. So you'll see it. They left a lot of wire here for some reason, which is good rather than when it's too short. But they left more than the standard 6-inch. Still hard. I like to push it a lot before I try to do this because with these screws because it gives less tension to these little brackets that hold it. So here's what I'll do. The way all the tension wasn't on just right. And I'll have a link in the description of the tools that I'm using here. A screwdriver, a little tester. I like using this little Ryobi because it's so light. So in this little job like this, super light. Oh, let me go back, take a little more straight here. I'll put it on fast. Alright, let me get that triple plate cover. Before I put the cover on, I just realized that this one here, because again, when these boxes are put in, they hang to one side only where the stud is at, you know, whichever side is on. In this case, it's here. So this side stays kind of like loose and sometimes goes back a little bit. And that'll make this receptacle sink back a little bit sometimes. In this case, it did in this one. So it'll look ugly when you put the cover on. You can see it sunken back. So they sell these packs of strips that come with 8 per strip of these little spacers, which they interlock like Legos, so you can make them as thick as you want, depending how far back the box is sitting, how much space you need. In this case, I'm only gonna need one because it's right there. It's only sinking back like 1/8 of an inch. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this there. I'll show you how it goes real quick. You're gonna come and see how it has a hole in the middle. Put it right over that. And that'll create that space. And when I tell you this is a problem that everybody has in their house, I guarantee you every single house has one outlet. Now, you can go look around your house and you'll notice that it's sunk in. So when you put the cover, you can see one that's like a gap. And let me see if I can. I should have shown you before putting it on, but basically you'll see that all of these, some of them might be like this, like sunk back. You see? In this case, it's just because I haven't put it on completely, but instead of everything being as flush as possible, one will sink back more than the other. Alright, in this case we're using the covers that do not have screws, so you have to put this inner piece first so that this clips into that. So the screwless faceplate there. And get the little screws that go there. You take 6, this one because it's a triple, it's 2 per receptacle basically. Toggle or switch. Let's go. Let me count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, got 6 out of this bag. Some of them come depending on the manufacturer with the screws already on. These do not. These send them to the little bag. so you can work more. But I'm making it easier for you. Let me put it over the restroom. And here we go. Oh, I forgot this is the fillet. And I have the square Robinson on there, so let me just do it with the regular screwdriver then. So I don't have to go changing tips right now. Okay, so another thing is sometimes these things are directional, like let's say top or bottom, depending on the manufacturer, because it's the way that they do the little clips at the, so you could grab on. This one doesn't say anything, so that means this one is bi-directional. You don't super tighten this because you don't want to deflect and warp this plastic, because then it won't clip on right. But you want to have it tight, but not to the point that you alter the flatness that it's supposed to have. And another thing that you're gonna come across, especially on when it's more than that one's like one in, right? Check it out now. Especially when you're doing more than one, just not one covers for 2 or 3. That these things now you can manipulate them to the left or to the right a little bit to get them straight. Because if not, you'll have a gap on the side. I'll explain that now in a second. As soon as I get this screw in there. Go for this one. I gotta go a little bit higher. Let me loosen this up a little bit. For some reason, it didn't align properly. It loosened everything up. Let me do a little bit higher. Push it up a little bit. Damn. This is what happens when you have the ones that are multiple. Look at this. You're having a struggle here. Because this manufacturer didn't make this perfect. Sometimes those little holes are not made. They have still plastic in the way, I'm trying to get it at an angle to get it in there because apparently there was some plastic in the way. Look what it's doing. Here's another phenomenon that happens. Sometimes sheetrock is in the way, which is what ended up happening here now. I could feel it because it was pushing out the switched ear there, and it pushes back on you. When that happens, you can get like you can skin a voltmeter. That's what I'm going to use to puncture the hole in the sheetrock there, so the screw can go in. If not, the screw starts pushing against the sheetrock and pushing you back on. The voltmeter for me is the perfect little puncture tool there. Let me see what happened with this one here. I wanted to play games. Oh, there it goes. Now, if you notice, let me see if the camera you could tell that good, but let me move it over here. What I'm talking about. See how the gaps are not even on the sides? It's a gap here and a gap here. So when I put the cover on, what will happen is that same gap is going to show. Or it's not going to fit right and fall into the space because this edge here will be hitting the edge. So now instead of these little screws, the ones with the faceplate, I could loosen them up a little bit and push this to a spot which is more to the right. Watch this. That bottom one, I gotta loosen it up a little bit more. There it goes. And now this one. Oh, wanted to move over. Just slide it over. Tighten it. See how the gap is the same, pretty much. Same here. Let's move this over here. And it doesn't have to be 100% perfect, because, you know, there's always some leniency, but it can't be like a big gap here and like here touching the side, you know? All right, let's get out of the way because I was working there uncomfortable. Just to show you that. Now, why some of them are specific to being upside down or not, it's simple. In this case, these do the notches on both sides, so it could be any direction. But some of them only have these notches, the one to stick in the screwdriver, not the little one. The little one's gonna be everywhere, always up and down. But the ones to do this, see, this little hole, so you can stick a screwdriver to be able to take it off when you gotta remove it. So this is always in the bottom because you don't want it to the top because it'll look ugly from looking from the top. In the bottom, nobody sees it. And that should coincide with two little notches at the bottom. So whenever these notches are only in one spot, like whether it's here or here, that means that it's directional, and if you have it up here, it's wrong. You gotta flip it upside down to have it to the bottom. In this case, you could have it at the top again because it's on the bottom too. It's bi-directional. And usually the other ones, not only is it obvious that, you know, that it's not put it however you want because you only see this on one side, it'll actually say top on the opposite side. So now here we're gonna go. So if you notice, very minimal, a little bit of gap. Look at that, sticking. Very minimal of like a difference. No one would tell, only me because I'm telling you now. But see, it's a little bit more here than there. But if I didn't push it to the right a little bit at all, it would have actually not fit. This would have been rubbing here on the side, and the cover would not want to go in. Now, on a second note, oh, there it goes. I guess it was brand new and giving a little bit of a hard time. All right, anyways, that'll be it for this video. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, leave me a comment, and I will reach back. Have a good one, and I'll see you on the next one.